In our panel, Fox News chief political analyst Brit Hume, Dana Perino, co-anchor of America's Newsroom, co-host of The Five, and Harold Ford Jr., former Tennessee congressman, co-host of The Five. Brit, this is the president's second Oval Office address. Your overall thoughts about him tonight?
Well, I think it may be remembered as one of the best, if not the best, speeches of his presidency. He was firm, he was unequivocal, he was strong, as he has been, particularly in recent days before he went to Israel and while he was over there. I was struck by the fact that he spent as much time as he did on Ukraine, and I think it was a good thing that he did, because the aid for Ukraine package that he's talking about and further aid to Ukraine beyond that is in jeopardy. And I think that he was hampered a little bit in that effort by the fact that he dare not really mention the best reason. I mean, he mentioned, broadly speaking, the best reason for sticking with it in Ukraine, which is that what would the rest of the world and its evildoers think if we pulled out of there? Because that comes on the heels of his having pulled out of Afghanistan, which arguably emboldened all of our adversaries around the world, particularly Vladimir Putin. He didn't make that. He can't really make that case, and you wouldn't expect him to. But he made a strong case for it nonetheless, and I think it's important that he did. And also, of course, you're right, Brett, to wonder whether, as Republicans will, there'll be a follow-up to his statement about holding Iran accountable. But at least he talked about Iran. He had been loath to do so in his remarks regarding this Israel atrocities since they happened. But tonight, there it was. So on two important counts, I think he did remarkably well and was quite strong, quite firm.
Dana, a lot has been said about the fact that the president prior to this has not articulated a strong argument for why the United States has to support Ukraine. It's expected he's going to ask for $60 billion, a much bigger amount than was already on the table that Congress has not allotted the money for yet. What did you think of the argument he made tonight?
Well, I'm a little out of my comfort zone because I almost always agree with Brit Hume. And I almost wish we were sitting next to each other so that I could hold his hand and say, could we watch that together again? Because I actually didn't think it was strong. I prepared all day to love this speech. I prepared to want to stand up and cheer. And at times I felt like we were reading a speech whose pages had been mixed up out of order. I thought that he didn't spend enough time talking about the atrocities of October 7th. He does obviously have a definite, deep understanding of the pain, and he is definitely against anti-Semitism, both abroad and at home. But he rushed that part of the speech so much, and the next thing I know, we're talking about Ukraine, and then we're kind of back to Israel, but then, wait, are you going to bring it up Taiwan as well? I thought there was going to be something on the southern border. I did not think it was as strong as it could have been, and I wanted it to be strong. Here's what I think I would have done. This speech, as Martha, you pointed out, was largely written about Ukraine. That is a good speech for him to give. I think what I would have done tonight in an Oval Office address is to say, I'm here to talk to you about the atrocities and the terrorist attacks. We are in a fight between civilization and barbarism, and it's not just happening in Israel, it's happening in these parts of the world, and point those out. And at the end of the speech, I think he could have said, I will be going to Congress on Monday. I will make everybody sit together, even though they don't have a speaker right now, and I will make them listen to me, and I'm going to make this pitch for the money because we need to take this very seriously. Matthew Continetti wrote a piece today that I thought was so good. He said, we are no longer at a stage where we can say can and should help fund these efforts. We are now in a situation where foreign policy is so deteriorated that we are in a position of need and must. So to me, watching the speech, it felt like watching a pinball game. And I wanted to love it, and I want to sit next to Brit Hume and hold his hand and see if we can watch it together again.
I've never seen that between Dana Perino and Brit Hume. Harold, I want to play something for you. It's SOT 902. It is 4 paragraphs in where the president talks about the hit on that hospital inside Gaza. Take a listen.
Like so many other, I'm heartbroken by the tragic loss of Palestinian life, including the explosion at the hospital in Gaza, which was not done by the Israelis.
He's obviously said that on his trip, but he added that just at the beginning of his speech, Harold, in the Oval Office.
Well, thanks for having me. I think it was important for him to say that tragedy upended his trip and made it very, very hard for him, if not impossible for him, to have met with some of the Arab leaders he wished to meet with on that trip. Having said all that, I thought his presence in Israel was the right time, and all of his words, I think, have resonated across the world. But let me get to the speech. I sit next to Dana 2 seats from her 2 or 3 nights a week, and I don't like disagreeing with her. I thought this was a good speech for one reason. He laid out for a lot of the country who don't follow these things as closely as we do why Ukraine is important to our national security, or why it's a part of our national security interests, and obviously linked it to Israel. When he said that Hamas and Putin are one and the same, I think a lot of Americans, that will reverberate in parts of our country that want to understand, why would you send the Ukraine and Israeli ask for military assistance together? When he talked about the context in terms of the inflection points in our nation's almost 250-year history, every inflection point has been motivated by or defined by our defense of freedom and liberty. In projecting it from Truman, who was the president at the outset at the birth of Israel, who introduced the Truman Doctrine, gave us the Marshall Plan to help rebuild Europe. These are moments when America has to be at its best. And when he reminded us of that beacon of the world, when he reminded us of that former Secretary of State who called us the indispensable nation, I viewed this speech as the first introduction, for him to ask Congress. And Congress is obviously dealing with some internal matters, but to ask Congress, let us step forward as a nation, let us step forward as a Congress, and provide the military assistance and resources to ensure that evil, that the barbarism that Dana rightly talked about, does not spread any further.
Yeah.
So I give him a good grade tonight.
As we were hearing that speech, as the president was delivering it, we're getting confirmation that U.S. forces were attacked in Iraq. A military base hosting U.S. forces near the Baghdad airport took on rocket fire as that's happening, showing how dangerous the situation is, and a tinderbox really all over the region.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.